You've been drizzling fake olive oil on your salad for years. And I don't mean lower quality. I mean, in some bottles sitting in your pantry right now, there's a real chance what's inside isn't even mostly olive oil. 5. It's soybean oil. It's canola. It's old, rancid, defective oil that's been deodorized, colored, and repackaged to look like liquid gold. And the label still says, in big confident letters, extra virgin. Here's the part that's going to make you angry. This isn't some fringe conspiracy theory. This is the conclusion of actual laboratory testing done by researchers at UC Davis, cross-checked by consumer watchdog groups, and confirmed by criminal investigations in Europe that seized hundreds of thousands of liters of counterfeit oil. There's even a name for the organized crime network behind some of it. Investigators call it the agro-mafia. Yes, a mafia for olive oil. So today, we're going through 11 olive oil brands that have failed extra virgin standards in independent testing again and again for years. Then, because I don't want to just leave you standing in the oil aisle in despair, I'm giving you 5 brands that have actually passed rigorous testing and are the real deal. Stick around till the end, because brand number 1 on the avoid list is sitting in probably 70% of American kitchens right now. And it might genuinely shock you. Let's set the stage first, because you need to understand what extra virgin is actually supposed to mean, so you can see exactly how badly some of these brands are cutting corners. Extra virgin olive oil is supposed to be the good stuff. Cold pressed, straight from fresh olives, no heat, no chemical solvents, no refining. To legally carry that label, it has to pass 2 kinds of tests. Chemical tests, which measure things like free fatty acid levels and oxidation markers, and sensory tests, meaning a panel of trained tasters has to confirm the oil actually tastes like fresh, high-quality olive oil, with no defects like rancidity, mustiness, or that flat, greasy fusty taste you get from spoiled fruit. Real extra virgin olive oil should taste a little peppery. It should make you cough slightly at the back of your throat if it's fresh and high quality. It should smell green, grassy, almost like cut grass or tomato leaves. If your olive oil tastes like nothing, or worse, tastes like crayons or old nuts, that is not a meh, I guess I don't like the flavor problem. That is a defect. That oil should not legally be called extra virgin. Now here's where it gets messy. Back in 2010 and 2011, researchers at the UC Davis Olive Center ran one of the most cited studies in this entire space. They bought popular olive oil brands off actual store shelves in California. No special samples, no lab-only access, just what regular people were buying, and sent them through both sensory panels and chemical testing. Their headline finding was that a striking percentage of oils labeled extra virgin failed to meet the international and USDA standards for that grade. A lot of the failures came down to oxidation from heat, light, or age, and oil made from overripe or damaged olives that should never have been graded extra virgin in the first place. That study kicked off a wave of follow-up investigations, journalism, and consumer group testing over the following decade. And a cluster of brand names kept showing up on the failed list over and over. I want to be straight with you about something before I read this list, because it matters. The North American Olive Oil Association, which represents the industry, has pushed back hard on some of these findings, arguing that a taste panel failure isn't the same as proof of adulteration, and pointing to their own 2024 testing program, which found no evidence of major brands being cut with cheaper oils. So keep that context in your back pocket. Some of these brands may have genuinely improved their sourcing and quality control since the original testing. But the pattern across multiple independent tests, done years apart by different organizations, is consistent enough that I think you deserve to know about it before you buy. Let's get into the list. Number 1. Bertolli. This is the one I told you might be sitting in your kitchen right now, because Bertolli is one of the best-selling olive oil brands on the planet. It's everywhere. Big blue and gold label, feels premium, feels Italian, feels trustworthy. Bertolli has repeatedly shown up on lists of oils that failed extra virgin sensory standards in independent testing, with defects linked to oxidation and quality inconsistency across batches. Now, to be fair, there's been some brand confusion here, because Bertolli's olive oil business has changed hands and been licensed to different companies over the years. And some reviewers specifically call out the Bertolli organic line as being more consistent than the standard line. But the mainstream Bertolli extra virgin, the one most people grab off the shelf, has a track record of failing to hold up in blind taste tests. Number 2, Filippo Barrio, another giant of the supermarket oil aisle, another brand that's been named specifically in olive oil fraud lawsuits in the United States, where plaintiffs allege the oil sold as imported from Italy and extra virgin was neither truly extra virgin nor exclusively sourced the way the label implied. Filippo Barrio has consistently shown up in independent testing rundowns as one of the brands that fails to meet the flavor and freshness benchmarks required for the extra virgin label. Number 3, Carapelli. This one's part of the same corporate family tree as several other names on this list, and it's sold heavily across UK and European supermarkets, big chains you trust without a second thought. Carapelli has been flagged in multiple rounds of testing as failing to meet extra virgin quality standards. With the same story you're going to keep hearing throughout this video, oxidized past its prime or blended down with lower grade oil before it 5 ever reaches the label stage. 5. Number 4, Colavita. This one might actually hurt because Colavita has built its entire brand identity around being the authentic Italian choice. The oil that food bloggers and home cooks reach for specifically because it feels artisanal. But Colavita has appeared repeatedly on independent fail lists from testing organizations, landing in the same bucket as the more obviously mass-market brands. Feeling premium and being premium are unfortunately two very different things. Number 5, Pompeian, a hugely popular American grocery store brand, often positioned as an affordable everyday extra virgin option. Pompeian has been named consistently across multiple testing rounds as one of the brands whose extra virgin labeled oil failed to meet sensory standards, showing the classic defect profile of rancid or fusty flavor notes that shouldn't be present in a true 5 extra virgin product. Number 6, Mazola. Now, Mazola is primarily known as a corn and vegetable oil brand, which honestly should be your first clue. When a company that built its entire identity on seed oils also sells an extra virgin olive oil, you should already be raising an eyebrow. Mazola's olive oil offerings have shown up in fail lists, tied to the same quality and adulteration concerns as the rest of this pack. Number 7, Mezzetta. Best known for jarred peppers and pickled goods, Mezzetta also sells olive oil, and it has consistently landed on lists of brands whose extra virgin oil failed independent lab and taste testing. Same pattern, oil that doesn't meet the chemical or sensory bar required to legally wear the extra virgin label, sold at a price point that implies it does. 5. Number 8, Star. Another long-running American brand found in your pantry specifically because it's cheap and familiar. Star has repeatedly appeared in testing rundowns among the brands whose extra virgin claims didn't hold up, again tied to oxidation and quality control issues that point to old stock or improper storage before it ever reaches your cart. Number 9, Whole Foods, specifically their 365-store brand extra virgin olive oil. This one stings a little extra because Whole Foods has spent years marketing itself as the health-conscious, quality-first grocery chain. But their private label olive oil has shown up in independent testing as failing to meet extra virgin standards, a reminder that a health-focused store brand isn't automatically a guarantee of authenticity. Number 10, Safeway, another private label extra virgin oil that's failed multiple rounds of independent sensory testing, including testing specifically conducted by consumer advocacy groups pulling bottles straight from real store shelves rather than manufacturer-supplied samples, which matters because it means what you're actually buying, not a curated sample, is what failed. 5. Number 11, Coricelli, a major Italian-sourced brand widely distributed in North America and Europe, and one that's shown up repeatedly in fail lists tied to both sensory defects and origin labeling concerns, where the actual sourcing of the olives doesn't fully match what the marketing 5 implies. So that's the list. 11 brands, some of the biggest names in the entire industry, that have repeatedly failed to live up to the extra virgin label under independent testing conditions. And look, I want to be really clear about something before we move on. Failing a sensory panel once on one batch doesn't necessarily mean a company is running some grand fraud scheme. 5. Olive oil is genuinely fragile. It degrades with heat, light, and time. And a lot of the failures traced back to poor storage and old stock sitting on shelves or in warehouses way longer than it should, rather than deliberate dilution at the source. But when the same brand names show up failing tests conducted by different researchers in different years using different bottles, that stops looking like bad luck and starts looking like a pattern baked into how these companies source, bottle, and distribute their product. Now, if by this point you're standing in your kitchen staring at your pantry with betrayal in your heart, take a breath, because I've got good news. There are brands out there that have consistently passed rigorous independent testing, and they're not some obscure boutique product you need to import from a farm in Tuscany. Some of them are sitting in a store you already shop at. Let's go through 5 olive oil brands that have earned a genuine reputation for authenticity. 5. Number 1, California Olive Ranch. This brand has become something of the gold standard reference point in American olive oil testing, largely because of how transparent they are about their supply chain. Their olives are grown and pressed domestically, on a much faster timeline than imported oil that has to cross an ocean before it even reaches a bottling facility. Less time between harvest and bottle means less opportunity for oxidation, which is exactly the defect that keeps sinking the brands on our avoid list. California Olive Ranch has consistently performed well in independent chemical and sensory testing rounds. Number 2, Cobram Estate, an Australian brand that has built its entire reputation on aggressive quality control and harvest-to-bottle speed. Cobram Estate has done well in blind taste comparisons and testing programs specifically because they treat freshness as the top priority, pressing olives quickly after harvest and monitoring oxidation markers closely before the oil ever reaches a store shelf. If you've seen food scientists and chefs specifically recommend a supermarket available brand, there's a good chance this is one of the names that comes up. Number 3, Kirkland Signature Organic Extra Virgin Olive Oil, the Costco store brand. I know, a store brand making the good list right after 2 other store brands made the avoid list might sound strange, but this is exactly why blanket assumptions about private label oil don't hold up. Kirkland's Organic Extra Virgin has been specifically and explicitly cleared in large-scale industry testing programs, with no adulteration detected. It's also one of the most affordable, good options on this entire list, which, if you've made it this far in the video, you're probably relieved to hear, because everything so far has made real olive oil sound like it requires a small mortgage. 5. Number 4, McAvoy Ranch, a smaller California-based single-estate producer that's been specifically singled out in past media investigations, including a well-known television investigation into counterfeit olive oil, as one of the genuinely authentic options tested. Because it's a single estate operation, meaning the olives are grown, pressed, bottled. On the same property, there are far fewer points in the supply chain where dilution or substitution could realistically happen. You pay a bit more for this level of traceability, but you're paying for something that's actually been shown to hold up under scrutiny. 5. Number 5, Bariani Olive Oil, another California family-run producer that consistently earns praise from food scientists and olive oil sommeliers. Yes, that's a real profession, for maintaining a genuinely peppery, fresh, high polyphenol product batch after batch. Bariani presses within hours of harvest, which is exactly the kind of practice that separates real extra virgin oil from the oxidized, defect-riddled stuff sitting on some supermarket shelves for over a year before anyone buys it. So here's the pattern hiding underneath this entire video. And once you see it, you'll never look at an olive oil bottle the same way again. The brands that keep failing tend to share a few things in common. They're mass-produced at enormous scale. They're often blended from olives sourced across multiple countries with murky traceability. And there's a long, unclear gap between harvest and bottling, sometimes over a year, which gives the oil plenty of time to oxidize and degrade before it ever reaches your cart. The brands that keep passing tend to do the opposite. Smaller scale or tightly controlled large-scale operations, clear single origin or domestic sourcing, and a fast harvest to bottle timeline that keeps the oil fresh. So next time you're standing in that aisle, here's your actual action plan. 3 things you can check in under 30 seconds without needing a lab coat. First, check for a harvest date on the bottle, not just a best by date. Real quality producers proudly print the harvest date because freshness is their whole selling point. If a bottle only has a vague best by date 2 years out and no harvest date anywhere, that's a red flag. Second, look for a dark glass or tin container, not clear plastic. Light degrades olive oil, and any brand serious about quality knows this and packages accordingly. Third, and this is the fun one, do the taste test at home. Pour a small amount into a shot glass, cup your hand over the top to trap the aroma, warm it slightly with your palm, and take a sip. Real extra virgin olive oil should hit you with a grassy green, slightly bitter flavor up front. And then, this is the tell, a peppery burn at the back of your throat that might actually make you cough a little. If your olive oil tastes like nothing, or worse, tastes greasy and flat, you've probably got oxidized or adulterated oil, no matter what the label says. Look, at the end of the day, olive oil fraud isn't some wild internet myth. It's a documented, studied, and in some cases criminally prosecuted problem that spans continents. But it's also not hopeless. You don't need to become an olive oil sommelier or spend $40 a bottle to eat well. You just need to know which names on that shelf have actually earned your trust and which ones are coasting on decades of marketing. And a label that says a lot more than the oil inside can back up. If this saved you from grabbing the wrong bottle next time you're at the store, that's honestly all I wanted out of this video. Let me know in the comments which brand shocked you the most. And if you want a follow-up video where I go even deeper into how to actually read olive oil labels like a pro, so companies stop being able to trick you with words like pure and light and made from refined olive oils. Let me know, because that rabbit hole gets even wilder than this one.